question will be Brendan Seminoles from Noles 247.
Hey, Kenny, I was hoping you could evaluate Jordan Travis's play and how he did overall on Saturday.
I thought that was his best game of the year. I mean, I think there was one throw in the entire football game that was the interception on 3rd and long versus a cover 2 safety. Didn't see him at a sprint out. Somebody flashed in his face. Didn't see the safety. Other than that, I don't think there was one throw that wasn't on point. I mean, he threw the ball away 3 times, and those were his incompletions. And other than that, he threw the ball extremely, extremely well, and I was super proud of him.
Kurt Weiler from Tallahassee Democrat.
Lawrence and Ja'Kai both had their pretty big moments Saturday. Obviously, they've both been asked to step into not huge roles, but decent roles kind of as true freshmen. How much do you think that will benefit them going forward, just how much experience they've gotten?
Oh, always. Anytime you're a true freshman, you're playing, there are some nerves you got to get out of your system. So the more reps they get, the more comfortable they get on the field. I mean, you talk about both of those guys, they're all over the field. They're true freshmen, and they're learning in Ja'Kai's case, 3 different positions just because of our lack of depth, just to get us through the game. I mean, there was a point in the game where I said, we called a personnel grouping, and all of a sudden, right before we went on the field, I'm like, oh crap, Ja'Kai hasn't been in this personnel grouping all season, right, at that position, and he goes out there and executes. And it's just a testimony to those freshmen and their willingness and their buy-in to what we're doing. And I was so happy for those guys to have some success.
The RSO fellow from Warchant.
Were you concerned going into that matchup with how the young tackles would do against their ends, and how did they do?
I was. I mean, obviously those are 2 really, really good pass rushers. That's probably one of their strengths. And we went into the game plan trying not to put our tackles in one-on-one situations as much as we could. Obviously, there's some situations where it is what it is, but we tried to limit it. And they got beat once or twice, but you look at the game as a whole, and I thought Darius had his best game. I thought he played extremely well for a guy who's been in and out of the lineup due to nagging injuries, and he's a guy who came in. And what I like to see was there's multiple times in the game that the picture changed on him. And he went from having to work through to a linebacker scraped. He's got to slow down on the end, and he stops on the end, and we hit a run with LT for 6 yards. Those are the things that showed up in that game more than that have showed up in games past. Is the picture changed on the odd front and the pressures, and that is actually when we had our most success. And I was super proud of those young tackles for being able to identify who they're working to and change and be productive when the picture changed on the fly.
On the long touchdown pass to Ja'Kai Douglas, is that a play action pass that's called, or is that like an RPO look that Jordan has to have the decision to pitch or to throw it?
That's a play action. So it was play action.
That would be Antoine Staley from Tallahassee Democrat.
Yeah, just your assessment of the running attack on Saturday, obviously over 300 yards rushing, and how happy were you for a guy like Treyshawn Ward to get a touchdown?
Oh, Treyshawn, I mean, they call him Trey, which I found, I mean, I've always called him Ward, but I guess Trey is the proper way. It's his full nickname. And you should have seen our guys, man. And that's what it's about. You talk about a guy Jordan Travis came to me 6 weeks ago and said, Coach, have you watched Treyshawn on the scout team? He's making plays. So guess what we did? We elevated him. Started practicing with us. And you see those plays flash. And when he gets his opportunity, bang, he scores. Now, he needs to give the ball to the official and act like he's been there before when he gets into the end zone, right? But you had another true freshman. When he drops the ball, Kentrell Porter go pick the football up and hand it to the official. And those are things nobody's going to talk about. But that play kind of defined our last 3 weeks. You have a guy who's been on scout team, who's been working his butt off, come in, score a touchdown. He then's never scored, drops the football on the ground. Another kid, a true freshman, wide out, sprints over, picks the football up, hands it to the official. Meanwhile, our entire defense is sprinting on the field, going to celebrate with that kid Ward because he was servicing and helping those guys get better for the beginning of the year. So when you talk about a play, when you look at that game and it just summarizes kind of where we're going, that was the play. So happy for the kid.
You talked some about the tackles. Obviously, you've had to replace Devontae Love-Taylor since his injury. You didn't have Maurice Saturday. How much are you seeing? I mean, that offensive line group, I know Coach Norvell, Coach Atkins have talked throughout the year of wanting to have a group of 8 or 9, not just having that 5. How much are you seeing the kind of getting closer to that number of guys you can count on?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse when I don't know if we've started the same lineup twice in the same year. We probably have once or twice, but I mean, it's musical chairs up there. And the fact that those freshmen are getting all those reps in all the different spots. I mean, Darius has had to learn guard, tackle, and right guard. You know, our guys are moving. Thomas Schrader's probably played every position on the field. I mean, so you're talking about Mo's been a guard in the center. You're talking about all those guys having to play all over the field. And all that's going to do is make us better in the future. And if we can just continue to get better every day, all those reps of them being all over the field, it's just going to make them smarter football players. Because if you know what the guy next to you is going to do, right, it's going to help you do your job. And Coach Atkins and the way he coaches, we're starting to reap what we sow.
Go back to Ira.
You know, we know Jordan can throw exceptionally well on the move, but I know there's been some questions about his footwork when he's standing still, stepping into throws, things like that. The pass to Ontario Wilson seemed like, it seemed like it was what you wanted. Was it what you want, and how close is he coming in that area?
Yeah, man, it was exactly what I wanted. He was in rhythm. He brought one hitch. He threw the football, threw it right where I wanted it. And I mean, and I said this, I think, way back in Jacksonville State game. The notion of Jordan Travis and his throwing ability is just crazy to me. The kid has everything you need to be a very, 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 very good quarterback. And I mean, I would like to. We're going to do this in self-scout when the season ends, but go back and look at how many balls he's actually just missed, because there's not many. And I would just try to count to 10. I bet you can't name a few off the top of our head right now where he just missed and you had that sound. He hasn't made those. What he's done is, you know, when we've gotten into poor situations on 3rd and 13, right? No quarterback's going to be uber successful, right? But Jordan Travis has done a phenomenal job, and he's going to continue to do a phenomenal job. I think we're averaging 34 points a game when he's the quarterback. So he's done a phenomenal job.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.